about another 10 psalms. And Asaph was a singer and musician in the court of David and Solomon. And it is thought that some of these were dated in such a way that they could not have been written by the man himself. It may have been that his family carried on his traditions, and succeeding sons, perhaps also named Asaph, carried on the tradition of composing and singing in the temple. We are looking at Psalm 50 today, and the title of the psalm, "Judgment Among the People of God." It's a psalm of Asaph, but the title of the sin, that is, the Lord is near to his Let's see. Recall how in that scene, Abraham carry out the sacrifice when the Lord told him to stop and not sacrifice Isaac, but instead he provided a lamb. And it's that place is full of meaning. There could be no other place for the Lord's temple, and there could be no other place for him to sit, more appropriate place for him to sit as judge. For the Lord has chosen Zion. He has desired it for his habitation. And we read in Psalm 135, for the Lord has chosen Jacob for himself, Israel for his own possession. And in Joel, blood sound an alarm on the face of the land tremble, for the day of the Lord is coming. Now, Zion is the key word. And if we know what that word means, if we realize its significance, then we must do that in order to understand this passage. Now, the Lord's people, he makes it clear, are precious to him, and he shines from among them. God has shone forth. The description of God previous to this, in the previous verse, was in the past tense. In other words, they ascribe to things to God that he's already done. Now the writer is speaking to the present and the future. Now, may our God come and not keep silent. Fire devours before him and is very tempestuous around him. Now that calls to mind another passage in Daniel, one that we've looked at before, in which Daniel has a vision of the throne room of God, where the Ancient of Days takes his seat, that his throne was ablaze with flames. Its wheels, were a burning fire. A river of fire was flowing and coming out from before him. Now we saw in verse 3, it says, fire devours before him. You know, in that ancient time, fire was a thing that was greatly feared. There were religions built around the worship of fire. There were cultic beliefs in the power of fire. And it was known to be a powerful force and a destructive force. And it was feared, and in some cultures it was worshipped. But here says that fire devours before him. Fire goes before him. Fire is the servant. Fire is the runner that goes before the Lord here to announce his coming. Fire is his herald. If the fire devours before him and is very tempestuous around him, this is a description of unveiled deity. You know, there was a case where Moses asked the Lord to show me your glory. And you recall the story. The Lord hid him in the cleft of the rock, covered him as he passed by, and he said, because no man can look upon me and live. The glory of God is so overwhelming, so powerful, that it would obliterate us if we saw it in its unveiled form. Jesus appears on the Isle of Patmos. When John first sees him, he describes him in his eyes were like a lightning. His feet seemed to glow like bronze heated in a furnace. He was looking upon unveiled deity, and no man can look upon unveiled deity and live. Now, the God of Zion is a God of might, of power, mighty to judge, mighty to destroy, but also mighty to save and protect. You know, in Hebrews, we read that our God is a consuming fire. He's not to be trifled with. He means business, and if we come to him, we have to mean business. You know, I've, in my younger days, have shared the gospel with a good many people. And some people took it seriously, and some just trifled with the idea. You know, it's like they were, well, they just didn't take it seriously. But there's no limit to his authority. He rules over all creation. Psalm 50, he summons the heavens above and the earth to judge his people. You know, it's interesting. Their view of the heavens was limited compared to what we know of the heavens today. I mean, if you go out away from city lights and see the stars on a clear night, the sky seems dusty with them. There's so many, it's hard to pick out the familiar ones. But with modern technology, we've been at these telescopes, orbital telescopes, we've been able to see farther and farther the extent of God's creation. And there are things that have them puzzled and baffled and wondering at what's out there. Although they don't, these do not come to Christ because of it. They see the creation. They see his creation and wonder at it. Let's see. The heavens are telling of the glory of God, and their expanse is declaring the work of his hands. And it's unchanging. His power is universal, his power is infinite, and it's unchanging. His character does not change. I am the Lord thy God, I change not. There was a certain preacher who envisioned, related this to a congregation of how the Lord seemed to say to him, if we're going to spend eternity together, one of us is going to have to change. And I am the Lord thy God, I change not. So guess who has to change? Excuse me. Psalm 50, verse 5. Gather my godly ones to me, those who have made a covenant with me by sacrifice. You know, his faithful people brought to him their sacrifices, and they were devoured by fire. Fire was the servant of God. And as the people presented their sacrifices to him. And the faithful ones who did come, who didn't go to the groves with the pagan altars. You know, there were pagan altars in Israel through most of its history. And it took some severe judgment to do away with that. But the Lord summons the godly among his people who honor his name and obey his command. The heavens declare his righteousness, for God himself is judge. Selah. There is a passage in James where it speaks of the Lord as having no changing, there is no turning with him. There is no changing shadow. Last year we experienced a solar eclipse. The sun was shining bright, and then gradually it got dimmer until finally it was darkened. And gradually the light returned. The Lord doesn't change. Like the phases of the moon change. The moon changes in a regular pattern, but the Lord doesn't change. He's always the same. But they are faithful. They are his creation. And they're